I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up. I bet when I land, they gon' tell me it's lucky again. See that I'm winning, it's harder to watch. I'm setting the stage, you should give me my props. You ain't got no soul, you lacking the spirit. You talk out your neck, I'ma show you I'm with it. I don't really hate for you to sit and watch me win again and win again and win again. I know it's probably getting on me and win a synonym. So if I ever win again, it's no I did the minimum. I didn't have to sell my soul.
For the show today, only one co-host, and that is my man, Matt. Matt, how you doing today? I think you're still muted there, Matt. Go ahead and unmute yourself for me. While he figures that out, man, let me tell you, it's probably because Scotty's putting some bad juju on him because the Astros lost another one last night, now down 2-1. That's why he couldn't be in. Because he's feeling under the weather. I think it's just because his Astros came up just short. Definitely, I mean, 3 grand slams in a series, that's, I believe, that's my record. Never happened before. So definitely Scott's definitely under the weather because of that. Matt, have you been able to figure it out yet? You may be frozen, maybe. You know, you're still there. Have you been able to figure it out? Are you unmuted now, Matt? Thought I heard something there.
Dude, I'm buried.
Matt, you're also frozen. Here's what you do. This is a live show, so things like this happen. Go ahead and close out the vMix and reopen it for me while I kill some time here on the show. That might help. So I'm going to come back to me here while you do that because, like I said, your video is frozen. So, but like we were saying, we have a big stack show. As far as Houston content goes. Some stuff while Matt gets himself situated. Something that we can talk about is coming up Friday. We have the countdown to kickoff. We did this past Friday for Second Baptist and TWCA. Big success. We're bringing it back again for St. Pius versus St. Thomas. The kickoff is at 7. We will go live around 5:45. Josh Cook will turb off. I believe Matt might be there as well. We will talk some high school. We'll talk some St. Pius high school football, as long as just St. Pius in general. Have some people on, some special guests on the show. You do not want to miss it. So, again, the kickoff for that game is at 7. We will go live at 5:45 with the game to follow. Matt, it looks like Matt is back. Matt, how you doing, man? Oh, you're still – there you go. We got you.
Let's go.
Gotta love technology, right, Matt?
Golly, man. Or maybe it's my house is in some sort of Bermuda Triangle of the Woodlands or something.
It must be that washer and dryer we heard before the show. It's causing the internet
right.
frequencies for you. But like we were saying, we got some good Houston games to cover, to talk about from this past week and looking forward this week. Let's look back before we look forward, as always. And I was looking through these scores, and of course I'm not a Houston expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't see a lot of surprises this past week in the city of Houston. Talk to me about some of these games. Were any of these games surprising to you, or everything kind of go as you expected? I think probably the biggest one, I know we talked about on last week's show, Memorial and Stratford. You weren't sure if Stratford could kind of get over that hump of Memorial because they always kind of seem to get the best of them, but Stratford did win that game. But just any of the games in Houston, talk to me about some of them.
Yeah, kudos to Todd Rankin and that group for getting it done. They look for real. They're going to have a matchup against Jersey Village, and that's going to be for the district title. But, man, I really love what they're doing right now. They look really athletic, physical. They're just kind of out athleting everybody right now, which is really cool to see. Another game that I was kind of surprised at was Atascocita taking care of business easily against C.E. King. That was impressive. And then Side Park gets the best of Bridgeland, who a couple weeks ago was a top 4 team in the city of Houston without Conor Wigman, who's down with a hamstring, I think. Man, it's a whole different team. And Side Park gets it done over Bridgeland. The Magnolia Bowl was last week. Magnolia West wins by 7 over Magnolia, which is a great game, super community-activated game. So that was kind of cool to see as well. North Shore, the game we had on Thursday night, man, they're starting to kind of get rolling. Their defense is amazing. They played Summer Creek, and Summer Creek was undefeated a couple weeks ago. And, man, they got handled by North Shore. North Shore has 4 running backs that are really, really good, and a freshman quarterback that they bring in. Not a great passer, but he's going to be – he's a great runner as well. So they're going back to old school North Shore ways, running the ball and playing great defense.
You know, North Shore has kind of, which is surprising to say, they've quietly kind of built up a good season. I mean, they had that one loss early on, and everyone was kind of, you know, we know they have this good defense, but I think the offense is still a big question mark, but they've still been doing really good this year. Just give me a heads up on North Shore. Do you think they have what it takes to make another state run?
I do, because, you know, you just can't match. Coaches can't really emulate what they do on defense. And they are good on defense. And here's what their defense is made up of. They have 3 down defensive linemen who are all D1 guys, led by Chris Ross, who's going to University of Texas. They have very, very fast and punishing linebackers led by Kent Battle. They have a defensive secondary who's got the number 1 player in the state of Texas in Denver Harris, who, look, give me 10 seconds to talk about this kid. I applaud Denver Harris immensely. He's the number 1 player of the year in the state of Texas. Last season, he went out and North Shore lost their game against Austin Westlake in a battle. He ACLs in that game. He could have hung it up. He didn't need to play high school football. He's got every offer in the country. He comes back, trains, and gets healthy, and he looks so good playing against Summer Creek. They didn't even attempt to throw to their side, and he did some really amazing things supporting the run. Jalen Davis on the other side, another high major D1 receiver. The offense is where it's tricky. Their O-line is good. They're going to not be sexy, and they're going to run the ball and control the clock. Old school North Shore. Teams get impatient, and teams don't like that physicalness that they bring. I think they can go. They're definitely going to the regional semis or regional final round.
Yeah, it definitely seems like if they can really just have a game manager at quarterback and don't panic, they have the defense to get it done. So, you know, I think everyone kind of was looking at some other teams across Houston, but now here comes North Shore. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's go back to Bridgeland and Cypress Park, both of those 2 teams real quick. I mean, I think Bridgeland, I think it speaks to the talent of Conor Wigman, how he goes out and that team just falls apart. And on the flip side, Cypress Park, really impressive with an undefeated season so far. I mean, I don't know what you've heard around Houston. Is Conor Wigman going to be back in time for the playoffs? And what do you think about these 2 teams respectively as we head towards playoffs?
You know, he should be back by the playoffs. It's a hamstring type situation. So he should be back. He wants to be back for sure, because that's kind of the school that Conor Wigman built, right? So they're very young. That's the difference between last year and this year. They're very young on the offensive side of the ball. They're undersized as it relates to the offensive line. And their defense is kind of scrappy, but not big-time names on that defense. And they've run into a couple pretty decent teams. You know, Cy Park is no slouch. Cy Park is legit. And they're a legit team that could go kind of far in Region 2 of the playoffs, because they run a unique throwback offense with that, you know, wing T triple option, 3 runners who all have 1,000 yards. So, that being said, Cy Park trending. We have their game not this week, but next week. They play Cypress Ranch, which will be a battle of 2 top 20 teams next Thursday. And then Bridgeland, they got to get Wigman back to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that you need Wigman to stand any type of chance. And then, of course, I think I don't know where you have them in the rankings, but Atascocita just, like you said, dominates CE King, and they've had a really, really great season. I mean, beat Allen at Allen, which hadn't been done in that new stadium since it opened in 2012. They have a close game and come up short against Geyer, which, I mean, they're traveling to Dallas, 2 times in 3 weeks. And now they've kind of just run the gauntlet through their district so far. And as we know, next week, that's the big one. North Shore versus Atascocita. Atascocita is just doing some great things this year, Matt.
Oh, man, they're doing great things. I think their quarterback got a little bit banged up. We're going to see if he's going to be able to return. North Shore plays CE King this weekend, and that's going to be a physical game. So it's going to really determine how North Shore can come back after that game and be ready for a top 5 opponent in Atascocita. That's going to be great to see. Look, North Shore, that's a pair of top 5 teams right there battling, not this week, but next week. Woo! We're going to be on the sideline for that.
That one, yeah. If you are in the Houston area and you can get to a game, definitely get to that one. I mean, obviously, I think it's going to be for the district title, for one. But 2, it's just 2 great teams, 2 top teams in the city of Houston going at it, heading into the playoffs. Let's look ahead to some of the games we have in Houston this week. I know you said probably let's start with your biggest one, obviously, and we kind of briefly talked about it. But North Shore taking on CE King, another big game in the district. I think it's North Shore, CE King, and Atascocita are kind of right there. CE King had a pretty lopsided loss to Atascocita compared to what we thought they might do. Does that give you any pause of thinking this might be a competitive game?
No, I think it's going to be competitive. I think what's kind of cool is Coach Fitzhenry used to coach for John Kay at North Shore. So, and those 2 schools are literally 5 miles down the road from each other. So, CE King, beautiful facilities, man. Oh, this school is probably the nicest school in the city of Houston as it relates to facilities. And they're catching a lot of buzz right now. I mean, they get a lot of buzz. They are old school, very similar to North Shore. They run the ball. They have 2 really good running backs, and their offense is predicated on the run, play good defense. These 2 teams kind of mirror each other. The coaches have kind of, one coach learned from the other coach. So it's going to be very competitive. I think North Shore comes out on top on this game. Another interesting game is another pair of undefeated teams, but it's in the Class 5A ranks, and that is Hightower versus Paytown. Paytown is good. They haven't seen a team like Hightower. Hightower is legit. I mean, they are super athletic, and they just, under new coaching direction, new culture, man, every time I kind of count those guys out sometimes when they play the likes of, a Manville, people like that, but man, they are playing disciplined football with great athletes. I think Hightower takes care of Paytown in that game. A couple of kind of interesting positioning games as it relates to the playoffs include Klein Oak playing Klein Kane. Klein Kane, what's going on with Klein Collins? I don't know. They start the season off not good, and then now they're rolling again. They beat Kane last weekend. Now Kane's got to do some damage control. What they're going to do against Klein Oak, those 2 teams are likely playoff teams. Cy Park plays Cy Woods. A good warm-up to Cypress Ranch for next week. Cy Woods is a very good opponent, another team that should be in the playoffs. And then finally, Tompkins plays Seven Lakes in the KDISD, and that's another kind of interesting playoff positioning game. Seven Lakes, if they continue to win, they are going to make the postseason. That's going to bump the Katy Tigers to D2. Tompkins, look, they got handled by Katy, but they're still a quality team.
Yeah, that game, it's funny because you think Seven Lakes, Tompkins, you try to break down those 2 teams, but that has so much implications just in that district as a whole and for the playoffs because, if you're some teams, you're like, well, Katy, stay away from D2, please. So lots of implications for that game. Here's an interesting one for you, and it's just because I guess the record that it has. Both teams are they're not good at all this year. Cypress Ridge and Northbrook, but Cypress Ridge 1-6, Northbrook 0-7. Northbrook currently has the longest losing streak in UIL football. Do you think that could end this week against Cypress Ridge, or do you think that will continue?
No.
There you go. That's all you really.
Unfortunately, no.
I think that's all we need to say about that one.
I think that's a district. Is it a district or maybe it's the longest losing streak in district or regular season and district.
I'm pretty sure it's just UIL, like district, regular and non. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I don't think that's going to happen this week.
Well, I will say this has seemed to be the year of records broken, because I think we've had the two longest losing streaks before that. So one was the Lowling Eagles, which is I think a 3A school, and then Boys Ranch, which is I believe a 2A or 3A school as well. Both of them ended their long losing streaks, which were longer than Northbrook. So this year has been the year, and as we know, Allen and Aledo kind of both lost. No, Aledo has not lost a district games. I'm sorry. They haven't lost a district game since 2007, I found out this week. So, but Allen lost. So this is the year where streaks kind of end. So we'll see if Northbrook can do that. I'm looking through the rest. I don't really see any other games that I want to talk about. Of course, I think the big one we should talk about before we get out of here, and I'll throw up the graphic as you start talking about it. St. Pius versus St. Thomas, our countdown to kickoff game. Matt, I believe you will be there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. This is going to be an interesting game. St. Thomas lost a lot of really good players. Maddox Kopp, the great quarterback from last year, some good tight ends, receivers. Hey, they're back. They're playing really good football. And Pius has done the same, but St. Thomas usually handles this game. I feel like they're going to do it again. It was kind of interesting. Here's a little throwback for you. Maddox Kopp is now at U of H. The former St. Pius quarterback who broke all the records, and I think they may have played against each other, is Grant Gunnell, who's at Memphis. So two quarterbacks still playing against each other in the college level, kind of were featured in this game years back. But I'm going to St. Thomas. Boom.
Yeah, this one, you look at it, and they do obviously have similar opponents playing in district, and St. Pius, they've kind of struggled against some of those better teams, Antonian and Central Catholic specifically in their district. So, it's gonna be tough for St. Pius. They've got a tough test ahead of them. They've had a tough last 3 weeks are coming up, because you look 2 weeks ago they played Antonian. Last week they played Central Catholic, and now they hit St. Thomas. So really no rest for the weary for St. Pius. So, but we will be there, of course. Let me throw this graphic up one more time. We will be there. The game kicks off at 7. We will kick off with our countdown to kickoff show around 5:45 on our YouTube page, and if the internet allows it, we'll go live on our Twitter and Facebook pages as well. So definitely tune in for that. Again, we'll have Josh. You'll be on there. Turboff will be on there. We'll have some guests on there, which you guys will get to interview. Lots of fun stuff, as always, with the countdown to kickoffs. Matt, before we get out of here, any other games that you would like to talk about, or just anything coming up in the city of Houston you want to mention?
Well, I'll tell you what, volleyball is rolling right now. I think that there are some very good teams that could make a run to state from the city of Houston, as usual. You've got, some up-and-comers, though, some kind of surprising teams. I really like Tompkins. Katie Tompkins is, playing really well. They would be coming out of Region 3. Tompkins, Pearland, Dawson, always really good. Ridgepoint, always really good. Teams that go to Region 2 up in Dallas area. Woodlands, Klein, College Park, Bridgeland. Those are all Cy Ranch. They're our number 1 team. They all go Region 2, so watch out for upcoming volleyball. Follow us on VYPE.com for all of the great high school information around the state of Texas as well.
Yeah, and basketball is right around the corner. It's like, football and volleyball kind of start ramping down, playoffs start, and then you kind of take a small breath and you look up and, oh my gosh, basketball is starting. So definitely stay tuned to that. Of course, before we get out of here, I have to mention our VYPE Insider program. It is a great program, let me tell you. So for $2.99 a month, I'm getting the image ready here. This is where you have to produce and talk at the same time. There we go. VYPE Insider, $2.99 a month, or if you pay one lump sum payment of $24.99, it works out to $1.99 a month. You can choose which one you want to do. All kinds of exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else, on, whether it's VYPE or anywhere. So I know you guys have some great stuff on the horizon for that, Matt, but I'd be remiss if I did not mention that. Other than that, Matt, any last shout-outs before we get out of here today?
That's it. Watch out for recruiting rankings and polls, awesome features, all in the VYPE Insider. Check it out.
Any are we doing a game on Thursday that you're calling?
There is no game this week for the Thursday night showdown. We pick up next week Cy Park and Cy Ranch. 2 teams in the top 20. It's going to be really good. And it's for a district title.
There you go. Well, hey, we'll be back tomorrow. No VYPE show tomorrow, but we will have, I think, I'm still trying to get confirmation on it. I think there's the Coach Cranfield show. If not, we will have the VYPE Coaches Corner at 6 p.m. at least tomorrow. And then, of course, like I say it once again, VYPE County kickoff happening this Friday. You'll want to be there for that. Until then, we'll be looking out for all of our content, whether it's on our VYPE YouTube page, subscribe, by the way, whether it's on our VYPE website, VYPE Insider, wherever it is, we got tons of great content coming your way, and I know they are working hard to get that content to you. So until then, we will see you at the games.